The Random Show. Inside knowledge of TV, pop culture, and game shows. With your host, executive producer of Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right, Mike Richards. Joined by the shortest moral compass on podcasts, Beth Triffin. And now, The Random Show.
Welcome to The Random Show. We're on, Beth. Put away your keys and your chains.
Yeah. Yay.
How you doing,
here.
buddy?
I'm ready. I'm great. I'm focused. It's great.
You seem not focused, but you seem great.
Well, this is a very rushed start. I got here like early, and all of a sudden we're starting before it's. Well, I guess it's 2:05 now.
It's 2:05. We're 5 minutes late, to be honest.
I
And
got a text message from Jen on my way here, being like, "Where are you?"
not getting any
So,
younger. You're sweating. You look like
stressed. Actually,
you look. Your hair looks
honest.
more out of skew than normal.
It's really hot.
Hey, and you know whose birthday it is?
It's Jen Bisgrove.
Podcast producer Jen Bisgrove. Say something witty and amazing.
Hi, everyone.
Jen
Nailed
was
it.
Born in Menominee, Wisconsin.
Yeah. She just got back from Wisconsin, where
Aw.
she drank a beer or two. Or seven. There you go. Well, happy birthday, and you get to do your favorite thing, which is do the podcast. And now one of my favorite people is here. George Gray
Yay!
is actually in studio.
Oh wow!
It's crazy. I think you're our first in-studio guest.
In studio. So the recycling bins are kept. This is in studio.
This
technically?
means because we're in my office.
That was the
at
toilet?
Price is Right. Yeah, the toilet was full, so we came into my office, and that's. But we've never really had someone actually here. We usually do it over the phone.
Yeah.
Really,
It's kinda
scraping
cool.
the barrel today, aren't you?
No, here's the
We were
thing.
like, who's nearby?
Proximity was the booking.
Get her villages.
Oh, too soon. Yeah. No, we wanted to do the podcast a few times, and then before we invite actual big time guests. Not that our other guests haven't been big time, but they haven't been in the studio, my office,
Right.
and they haven't been George Gray,
Right.
They have not.
who is eating his lunch furiously
chicken.
because we are between Price is Right tapings. It's a busy day here at Price is Right Industries.
I was just saying before we started the show that you wedge all this into your life.
I love
You
it.
do all this.
Yeah, why not, right? How many times are you going to live George Gray? 2, 3?
I'm sort of a Shirley MacLaine kind of person. So they say that according to it all, you keep coming back. And then you learn different steps along the way in each one of your progressive lives, and that when you reach your final life, then that's the last one on this plane because everything is perfect. And I got to say, I think this is my last run.
Is it? This could be. You are having
I'm
an amazing run.
I think I'm here.
I would totally come back as George Gray. George Gray has a great life.
Your wife would not let you.
No, she would not back that play.
Your mother would be completely
Mortified. Yes, George has an amazing life.
Let's talk about it.
That's good.
I mean, lives up in the Hollywood Hills, great place, lots of cars.
Yeah, I was just going to say, doesn't he have cool cars?
He has good friends. Feels like he has a party every week at his house.
Something like that.
It's
Nice. It's great. I
Right?
mean, you're a married man, so you understand the luxury of like being able to make your own decisions. And Stephanie is probably one of the coolest.
yeah, she's super
I've ever
easygoing
met.
and tolerant, which one would have to be.
But still, you've got to make team decisions.
Sure.
It becomes a team. And then you got 2 great boys, so you have to make decisions about what's proper for them. Whereas
Right.
with me, I remember when I bought my house, and I was down on the second level.
I actually remember when you bought it too.
Yes,
I was
okay.
around you when you bought it.
And yeah, I was doing Weakest Link at the
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah.
And I was down on one floor of it, and I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, I could blow out this closet. And I thought, you know what? I could make this floor a bar. I could make this a bar. And so, what I did is I turned to my cat, and I said, yeah, I'm thinking about making this a bar. Any objections? Any objections? Raise hands. Okay, it's a bar. See, that's what's cool. Is like
That is pretty good.
You just get to do that.
And you utilize that bar quite heavily.
I do.
I mean, is it what's it called?
Stinky's Bar and Cigar Lounge.
Which is named after your cat.
Which is named after my cat who passed away now about 3.5 years ago.
But that was the cat who was with you for the opening, for the grand opening of Stinky's Bar.
That was his one request. That if you do the bar, you have to name it after
Well,
him.
he rocked it many a year. He was a stray kitty, but it was great because you know how many people would say, "Oh, party at Stinky's tonight," and I remember people would say, particularly in the Weakest Link days, "Oh, Stinky's, is there a cover or is there like?"
Yeah, no, people thought it was like a.
Like, no, it's actually in my house.
Wait, okay, so we have to go back because I was actually telling Beth and Jen Bisgrove, the birthday girl, about your Weakest Link days, and we're going to go all out of order with your career, but we're going to cover your career, the highs, the lows, the highs, and the hires.
And the high.
But on Weakest Link, so George got Weakest Link, and the way we have the same agent, which is how we know each other. We can
Gotta say his name. He's awesome.
Chris Neerman.
Oh,
That's how it is.
I'm not gonna change that. 'Cause that's
Chris
perfect.
Neerman. Yeah, because it's like we don't want to totally say who it is in case we say something bad.
Right.
Like he'll never really figure it out.
Right. Does he listen to the podcast?
I'm sure he never misses
He doesn't
it.
return phone calls. He obviously
Yeah,
he's not.
if I make money off it, it'll take 10%. I'll tell you
Right,
that. But he's
right.
never listened to 10%.
Right.
But God love him, because someone has to. So no, we actually enjoy Chris Neerman a lot. But so Weakest Link, George gets Weakest Link and gets it in a really non-standard way. But a lot of thanks to you, obviously, but a lot of thanks to Chris Neerman, right? Because he kind of wedged you in there.
Well, not only did Chris lean on NBC to see me, he leaned on me to actually go to the audition. I mean, you knew.
Yeah,
you know this,
both sides. No one really wanted
This was-
anyone.
I had just done. I'd done Junkyard Wars, and it was a show that nobody was going to see. Nobody knew anything about. It was called Scrap Heap Challenge in the UK. They rebadged it as Junkyard Wars because
Better name.
We don't know what a scrap
And
heap
yeah,
is.
now it's time for Scrap Heap Challenge.
Well, they showed it. They showed the British version in the States, and the numbers did really well for Discovery TLC. And so they thought, well, then let's do an American version. And of course, I took a meeting with them. I'm like, well, why don't you just get behind this show? This show's doing great. Just air the show. I'm not talking myself out of a job, but I didn't think anything had ever come of it. And it was about building and racing and stuff like that. And I wound up getting the job, and I remember Neerman said, look, do you want to go race and build stuff? I know you're a big gearhead. You like cars and bikes and stuff. He said, it's a small little show. Nobody will probably ever see it, but make some money, have some fun, go live in the UK for a little bit. And so I did, and
that's awesome.
we got nominated for a Primetime Emmy.
Yeah, it did huge. And
It was
especially like now when a cable show does that, it's not as rare. At that time, that was like a lightning bolt out of nowhere.
It was the first year that reality was allowed in the Primetime Emmys. Before it didn't exist.
Right. That's
And
exciting.
it was because of Survivor.
Right.
Survivor was
It was because of Junkyard
That's
Wars.
right, baby. So when Chris said, okay, NBC wants to meet you for Weakest Link, I'd been reading in the papers and the trades we all did about who was going to do it,
Sure.
all the names that were floating around. I'm like, they don't want to, first of all, they want a woman. They want a famous comedian like Whoopi Goldberg or somebody. They don't want me.
I thought they said a comedian. What?
Oh,
Whoopsie.
And so my point was I didn't want to go in where they had a positive opinion of me. My career was like in a good spot. I didn't want to go in just to hear him say no. Like I wanted,
Because you've heard that enough. I mean,
Yeah,
we've all heard,
we all
George,
have.
we love you. I mean, not for this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Come, buddy.
Not for this. You're not right for this.
Yeah.
So I don't want to waste their time and have them not like me for this, and then turn me down when I am right for something. And Chris literally said, "Shut up and go." I was working. Actually, how funny. Look, it all came together just now.
Right.
I was working on the house,
The deck.
on the bar, where I said I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
the bar. I had a sledgehammer in my hand and like some Daisy Duke shorts. I was like,
Oh, wow. That's an image I want to get out of my head.
Terrible.
Please,
I
please.
had tan lines.
Someone take some acetone, dip their fingers in it, and jab me in the eye.
And,
I can get that out of my
and
head.
So I literally,
I can't get that out of my
I had to be down there for this. Like they were doing. They put me on camera and
Yeah.
did like a 10-minute version of it, and I literally ran it up to the last second. I'm like, you know what? All right, I gotta go. Put the sledgehammer down. I didn't even wipe the concrete dust and everything off my face. I was just filthy grimy. I grabbed the one like black shirt I had and just went.
Because
my
George,
God.
George, not exactly a clothes hound.
No.
And Weakest Link is suit tie. I mean, it's a big primetime thing.
But he classes it up.
No, he can.
Yeah.
He just doesn't own any of it himself.
I actually
Oh,
do.
right.
That's what you don't know is I have a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house, and every closet's full of all my clothes because every show I've ever worked on, I get
Gives
great
you the
clothes.
clothes.
Get
Yeah.
What
no.
I do
Yeah.
then is like to come over here to work. I reached out, and this is a T-shirt that was given to me because I needed to walk over here without ordering. So yeah, I don't like really work
Buy
at it.
your
I
own
don't
stuff.
work at it. Is the
Yes.
thing.
But I feel like, Mike, you did the same thing. I remember when I first started working for you, you were like, oh, these are all my Beauty and the Geek clothes. They're
Yeah,
running
no,
out,
it was
so
all
I've got to
from-
get something new.
Yeah, and that's why I had to go get Pyramid because I was out of suits.
Yeah.
and shirts because I had nothing else to wear.
Right.
So I got some shoes, shirts, and that's why I'm showing Jen Bisgrove a new sports coat or jacket. Trying to do it every day.
Really?
Yeah, because she's
Nice.
like, you always have something new. I was like, oh, I haven't even I haven't even touched the vault
Really?
of jackets. Yeah, because I'm the same way, and I'm like, I always think it's ridiculous when productions hold on to the clothes because is there going to be another guy
And they're
that's
tailored for you.
exactly
Yeah.
my size? Probably not. So, if you know what I'm saying.
So amazing.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Earmuffs, ladies.
Unless they're going to try to get a suit for the David. Am I right?
Nice.
All
Well,
right.
I don't know. It's not an impressive sculpture if you think about it.
Well, it was cold. It's cold in Italy.
to
Anyway,
George.
so you go in, there's
Yes.
concrete dust on your face.
Yeah, so I literally just wiped off, and I just thought, I'm just going to do this my way because I'm not going to get this anyway. I have no chance of booking this gig, none whatsoever. So I might as well at least show them like myself.
And Beth, do you know what Weakest Link was? I mean,
Oh,
there was a
yeah.
primetime version. There was Anne Robinson. She looked like Harry Potter.
Yeah, you are the weakest link.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
You
yeah.
are the weakest link.
Yeah.
Goodbye. And it was a huge phenomenon, and it had been done all over the world at that point. And I was a segment producer on the primetime version with Anne Robinson, and I got to write some of the insults, which was really fun because just being able to just crush
Yeah.
people. It was like it couldn't have been in more in my zone. It was like the most amazing. I'll do it for free, guys. But everywhere else it had gone with a female and
Right.
and not necessarily a comedic female
No.
because Anne Robinson was not funny.
No.
She was like David Horowitz, Fight Back fame,
sarcastic and biting. Yeah.
but a consumer advocate. Like so, there was that feeling of I don't know, it just that. School marm, almost like slap your. So when you think of like George going in for that, it makes like you were right and Newman was wrong. I mean, because that's suicide to go in there and go and just be like, hey, swing for the fences, and they go, fuck, he's terrible for this.
Right.
We're never going to use him, and then you don't get the next thing. But
It worked out.
he's a genius.
It worked out. Well, I remember watching right before, because it was such a huge phenomenon, and NBC needed the programming, so they were airing it like 9 days a week, which is why
Right.
it flamed out here. It's still in the UK and still doing
Does well. No,
Otherwise,
absolutely.
Wow.
that show would still be on today if they wouldn't have burnt it out. It's like
Yeah.
don't just
They were trying to kill Millionaire with it.
Yeah, don't-
Remember?
Mhm.
That's what it was. It was counter-programming to Millionaire, and I was there, and they went from once a week, and it came out, and it was the #1 show of the week or something like. I mean, it was. I think it's the highest-rated show I've ever worked on. It was just a monster when it
Yeah,
came out,
huge.
and then all of a sudden we were doing 2 a week, and then we went to 3 a week, which is just death.
It was
I mean,
crazy.
nothing can stand up, and because they were putting it against Millionaire because it was beating up Millionaire.
Right.
So it was like the programming executives never had a plan to keep it on the air. It was just we're going to kill Millionaire
they
because
got greedy.
Yeah.
Millionaires were killing them.
They didn't see
Yeah.
the future. I don't think they saw the future. So what I remember watching an episode just to kind of see what she was doing, and it was. I know her name's Erin. I can't think of her last name. She played Joni on.
Aaron
on-
Gray. No,
No, it's not Aaron Gray.
Aaron Gray is from
on,
Battlestar
on Happy
Galactica.
Days.
Yes.
You know Joni
Joni,
Loves Chachi?
yeah.
Joni.
No.
If only we had the power of
know
the
this
internet.
But you know
show.
what?
You don't know what Happy
I know,
Days is?
I mean, is that,
you don't know
that's
Joni
the
Loves Chachi?
Fonz, right? Isn't it?
Do you work in television?
I know. I just don't know the. I
Ron
don't know who
Howard?
Joni is.
Oh.
See, here's the thing with this generation.
This
No,
kid Ron
I don't
Howard's
wanna
gonna
hear
make something
about-
of himself
Yes, I know
someday.
about Ron Howard. I know about Harry Winkler.
Henry Winkler?
Henry
Oh,
Winkler.
my God.
Hey,
Now,
you
actually,
guys,
Harry
I got
Harry
them.
Winkler is a name for a different type of film.
Yeah. He lives in Van Nuys.
You guys, I got
Starring
his last
Harry
name.
Winkler
I got his last name.
Hey.
as the pizza delivery
Sunday,
guy.
Monday, Happy Days. I just don't know who Joni is.
I actually
I'm
know.
sorry.
I actually went to school with a guy whose dad wrote that song,
Oh, really?
and it was like we had him on my college show,
Yeah.
and I forget his name, and he like wrote this one song. It became a hit because it was on Happy Days,
Right.
and then he became like a drug addict because he thought he was like a big star, and he totally wasn't. He was like this red-haired, like kind of pudgy, really nice guy, but like, and so he wrote a book called Happy Days and Dark Nights.
Oh,
And this was like
name's
20 years later,
Johnny
trying to
Cunningham.
relive it. It was just not a good scene. It was. I remember being on the set of my own show, and he was like a big get for us. And then I realized, no, this is a big get for him.
Aw. Bum, bum,
Yeah.
Well, at least you were
you know what?
helping each
Aaron
other
Moran.
out.
Birthday girl brought it up. It's Aaron Moran.
Moran.
And I'll tell you what, I watched the episode on Weakest Link, and everybody kind of has a different personality. The contestants, some would take a run at the host,
Right.
Some were kind of very laid back, and Aaron was like so sweet, so kind.
Yeah, she's really
so
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
So you're really liking her. You're sitting here watching at the house, and she just is like all butterflies and unicorns. And then Ann Robinson turns to her and says, your career hasn't gone very well, has it? Because she hasn't worked in a long time.
horrible.
And it was just, and I remember watching that and saying, okay, I'm going to go in the next couple of days, but I'm not going to do that. Because,
I'm not going to be
well, it was
beyond mean.
It was just because it was
Too easy.
Because it was true. You know,
Yeah.
if somebody has a big nose, you never make fun of their nose. You make fun of their feet. If somebody
Don't.
Ixnay on
On
the
the nose and say.
Oznay.
She's not an ooh-and
On the onker hay.
That's what she always
Guys,
says.
it's a Grecian nose. It's beautiful, and I love it.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Because you always make a
Classic.
big deal out of it.
Anytime.
Grecian. Okay.
Like the formula.
It can
Anyway.
Be
It's
on
Harry
an
and it drives
old
a cab.
coin.
Hey,
what's the
it's bankrupt.
So,
anyway.
so I remember thinking, you know what? You never want to like really hurt somebody. Like if somebody's your friend, you know, if you and I are walking along, we've had a couple of beers, and you stumble and fall, the first thing I'll do is laugh.
And
I'll laugh. But if I can tell you're actually genuinely hurt, then the first thing I'll do, because I'm a friend, is run over, dust you off, and say, "Hey, let's help you out." I won't continue to laugh if I really realize you broke your leg. in
Somebody
3
call a
places.
medic.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're an idiot. That's hilarious. So to me, it's like, you know, if your friend slips on a banana peel, then it's funny. If they get hurt while doing it, it's not funny anymore.
Right.
And so, and I think it worked well for daytime, because in daytime, you know, that's one of the magic things about Price is happy.
It's not
fun.
mean. And your version of Link was funny.
It was fun.
But you also you didn't go after people, but you had fun with them, sometimes at their expense, which it sounds like I'm nuancing it, but that was what they were with you.
Well,
you know what I mean? They were
as well as
laughing.
you kind of have an unspoken thing where you need to go into a show, and my unspoken thing to myself was that these are my kids. All the contestants are actually my kids, and we're going to have fun, but I'm not going to make fun. However, it's just like real life, where if one of your rotten kids takes a run at you and starts doing a bunch of bad stuff, you thunk them as hard as you possibly can
Right.
to remind them who's in charge of this joint. And if they come at each other, you grab them by the collars, you knock them in the heads, and you throw them in their rooms. And that's what I did.
And that's why it's good that George Gray doesn't have kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That is why
wow,
I
I
have
don't
a
know how I feel about this.
Hello, Child Protective Services. My dad just bonked me into my brother's head and threw me into my room.
Delightful.
And you did 2 seasons of that, right? Is that right?
We did.
You did a ton of episodes.
We
of
did a
it.
bunch of episodes. I think it was sort of 2.5 seasons. I can't remember.
Yeah, okay, that sounds right.
But we didn't. Our numbers were great. The critics liked us.
That has nothing to do with it, George.
Well,
and
you know
that.
what's funny is Ed Wilson, who was president of NBC Enterprise
Yep.
at the time and one of the nicest men ever, because it was a big show for me. I'd done shows before, but this was huge for me. And he brought me to his office, which was really nice. And he said, "You know what? We've run the numbers, and you're critically liked. The fans like you. The numbers are good. Advertisers like the show. But the problem is primetime's going away." And so all the costs of the show, the set,
setup.
the stuff, you know, the
Yeah.
drapes, the curtains, the cars, everything, it all of a sudden dumps on us. And the show, we did the numbers. And even if we cut down to bare bones, the best we can do in a 5-year projection is break even. And, you know, as a businessman, that's not a good thing to do. So we're going to stop the show, but just know you're stopping it with the numbers being great. It has nothing to do with this show. It's just not financially
Right.
viable.
That's
And
a
you went,
bummer.
that
But you know
feels
what? I really
good.
appreciated it. Actually, it
Yeah.
was
No, that someone was actually honest and just told you what was going
Well,
on.
no, because you and I both started in the same spot, but you've actually done very well as an executive producer. You understand more
Yeah, Beth.
than I do the concept of like, hey, it's a business.
Right.
There is a bottom line. It has to make sense.
That is actually the
financially.
hardest thing to get across to people that work on shows, whether on camera or not, is that there isn't, because I think we were all, well, Beth wasn't, but I think we were all raised watching television where there was, if you were on, you were making enormous amounts of money. And by you, I mean like CBS and the production company, and you think of Aaron Spelling and his 9,000 square foot mansion and
Good gravy.
you know, like all of that stuff. And what has happened, and it happened right as I got into the business, is it became a business. And it wasn't just money, no object, and if you could just keep it on the air, you were rich. And that's not the way it is. And so, people think, oh, you've been on a long time, the budget must be huge. No, The budget still has.
Sometimes the budget shrinks.
Yeah, well, oftentimes the budget shrinks, and sometimes it doesn't, and it depends on the show and whatever it is. But and there's that thing of if you get to the third year, because I got this on deal from everybody. You get to the third year, and that's when the money starts coming. I don't know what show that is. That has not been my experience so far on shows that go over 3 years, because everyone came back, like production staff, and everybody's like, "All right, buddy, brass ring time, 3 years." And I was like, we're flat. Like, oh, come on. 3 years. Ratings are up. Great. Same thing. Critically acclaimed. Great. Yep. So we're flat, and which means we actually have to lose people because everything else is going up. It's just an interesting, theoretically trying to understand that there isn't just an endless amount of money everywhere.
Yep.
And that it has to make sense, even if it doesn't make sense and it's doing great in the ratings, which yours was. And the story I wanted to tell about George was, George is very generous and loves to entertain people, which is why he built Stinkies. And I think after every production week, if not every, it was every production week. It was. He threw a party at his house for everyone associated with Weakest Link, or who thought that they knew someone from Weakest Link, or who had met someone that they thought had known
Pages,
someone
anybody,
that like literally
anyone who was like slightly connected to it.
And
That's
by the
cool.
way, I went to some of those parties, and there was a lot of people not even slightly connected. It was like, have you heard that this guy throws like a killer party? And he had a bartender, right? You had full bartender, and like drinks were free, and cigars, and whatever.
That's
it was
really
amazing.
cool.
My band would play.
And the band, yeah.
We still do that. We just we haven't. I think life has gotten so busy that I haven't done it on a regular basis, because I've thought about it. I would totally do it.
Yeah,
that's really.
It was
cool,
really
though.
fun, and
That's
people would just come, and I think people were pretty respectful of your house. I think that was the good thing. I don't think it
That's
ever
good.
got thrashed.
Never had the cops shut a party down. Never had any trouble.
Which I don't get that, by the way, because
Yeah, were
if
your
I lived
neighbors cool
if I
and
lived
everything?
anywhere near you, I would be like, "Hey, George, how you doing? 911. Yeah, no, you're gonna. No, I know you haven't started throwing the party. Hey, what's up?
First of all, there's two
Mikey's
ways to
tie-tie.
solve that. 2 ways. The
invite
first
the
one is
neighbors.
invite all your neighbors,
Right.
and the second is be friends with a lot of cops.
Ah.
It was great.
How are you friends with cops?
We would joke around all the time.
What, you're one of your best friends.
Like
is
my
a cop.
buddies would walk in, and I'd say, "Uh-oh, the cops are here," and that's when the party really got good.
Oh my!
Because George knows
goodness.
everyone. See, George is in
But how does he
all
know the
different
cops?
kinds of arenas.
Yes.
Like, it's not just TV. It's not just cars. It's not just cops.
Yeah, everybody's fun. We've always, what's really cool is always there, and you've seen it, is we literally have had preachers there. We've had like biker gang
never seen
members
that.
there. We have had executive producers and PAs. We've had sinners and saints. You name it. We've actually had. Did you know? I've counted now. We're up to 5 marriages that were from people meeting at Stinkies over the years.
What?
5.
That is
5
so
marriages.
cool.
Beth, you should go.
Oh my
Jen, you should go.
goodness.
5
Happy
marriages.
birthday. You're getting married.
Now, I'm not saying how many divorces were actually caused.
we are 0 for 5.
Oh my god!
It's a good place to hang, yeah, I know.
And then you bet the pool in. Anyway, that's enough
Yeah,
about your parties
yeah.
and stuff. But that's that, like, he loves, and I am not that way. I don't love to have people over that because they
No.
trash your house. But you really built it for this.
Well, because I like to drink beer. I like to smoke cigars. I like to play the music and hang out. And if it's at my place, I don't have to drive and worry
Right.
about drinking and driving. And I can kick everybody out when I want to. I don't know. I think it's good.
It's amazing.
Sounds like Jen's
have you,
perfect life.
Have you been
I've
to a
not
party?
been. No.
Oh, you got to go to a George Gray party. Jen Bisgrove. Have you been? Huh? See, you're not throwing enough. of them,
Drew
George.
actually, who's kind of will keep to himself sometimes. He'll just go
Yeah.
home and chill and relax. And I leaned on him a couple of times, and I think he kind of, all right, I should, show an effort.
Yeah,
And
go.
so he showed up one time, and
But then he got on the circuit.
I got to say, I watched his eyes kind of bug out, and he still only showed up a few times after that, but
But that's very much his scene.
he did say, to this day, he will say, there is a lot of fun going on there.
Yeah, that's very much his scene. It's very just people all hanging out. Like, it's kind of close quarter. I mean, I don't know. There's always like 100 people there, so it feels like it's close quarters. Like everyone's just, like you said, there's all different types of people, and everybody gets along.
Nobody cares,
and
everybody gets along, it's
Nobody
great.
gives a crap that you're Drew Carey.
Nope.
Like, nobody cared that he was there. Like, usually, because I've been with him at enough things where it's like, when he walks by. And people are like, so anyway, and he would just walk by, and he loves that. Like, he no more wants to be, have a fuss made over him than the man in the moon.
He's just like you and I.
Not really.
You can't see the banner we've got here right now. We're waving at cars as they drive by.
Please. Okay, so let's talk about Price is Right. You've been on it now 2
It'll
and
be
a half?
my 3rd year anniversary. Will be, I believe it's November 17th of this year.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that's longer.
Isn't that
longer
awesome?
than
Yeah.
Well, it's weird. And on one hand, it feels like I've been here forever. And on another hand, it feels like I've literally been here for 1 minute. Which is, the truth is, in a marriage, or a long-term relationship, when they feel like that, that means it's right. It feels like, oh my God, this has been my soulmate forever. But then it's like, oh, we just met. I mean, I love coming to work every day, honestly. And you and I, we are old hands. We're not.
We've been around a long time, Bill.
It ain't our first rodeo. Yeah, we really did. We've come up through the ranks together, and you know what it's like to be somewhere where you just love showing up to work.
Yeah, no, I remember that distantly.
What are you going to say now?
Yeah, I remember that distantly. George, and I told this story in the last podcast, so I won't bore everyone with it. But actually, I met George at my first audition. My first host audition.
I remember
and
that.
George had done like a ton of stuff at that point. And I was like, I had a college show, so they're probably going to just give me the Tonight Show. Like, that was kind of my theory. Like, I was pretty amazing on my college show. Yes, I'll accept the Tonight Show. You're welcome. And hard to believe that that's the way I would think, isn't it? Shut up, Jen Bizarro. This is why no one likes you. But I had no idea what to do. Like, I showed up and just wide-eyed. And there's like a thing about, and Beth knows this, like, you sign in and you find the right casting person because it's not just one casting.
No, everyone's there.
Yeah, and there's all different things happening. Well, I didn't know any of that. I didn't have a picture of me yet. I was like, what do you need a picture for?
I'm right here.
I'm here. And George was like, oh, hey, man, I don't know. You must have just seen that I looked completely lost. And now this is a semi-competitive environment where someone's trying to book the job.
People are very, very cutthroat.
Weird.
People try to psych each other out. People
Yeah.
try to
Waiting
say,
room drama.
that was a daring choice for that shirt. Well, hey, good luck with everything. People do that.
I thought we weren't supposed to wear red.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
and they
people
always
are-
talk about like,
people
I
are
just came from
schmoes.
this audition.
People, I guess so. They're allowing people with weird accents in here. Whatever they'll do.
That's great that they're having the guy
They're
with
like
the speech
going
impediment
against
in.
type
What?
for this.
But,
Wow.
just to get you off your game.
Yeah.
People are horrible.
Well, and I loved people that would brag about the show. Actually, I just wrapped a movie
Oh,
in
I
Hong
know.
Kong, and blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, I literally, because I got so fed up with it, and I was not auditioning that much. I'd be like, no, you didn't. And they'd be like, what? Like, no, you didn't. I don't believe that you did that. And they'd be like, really?
Oh, that's awesome.
Because they didn't. I mean, you just can't. You make stuff. Oh, I just shot a movie with Michael Bay. Did you? Yeah.
Is that
No,
why
you
you're here
didn't.
Today?
Yeah. Is that what you decided to come up with? And everybody's trying to psych each other out, and I would just go. And I was always in a hurry because I was always producing something.
Right.
So I cut out for lunch, basically. And these guys are blah, 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 blah. But anyway, George was very nice. Helped me find the sign-in. I was like, are we supposed to memorize this? And he's like, yeah. Like, it's the sides, buddy. You'll be fine. I was like, oh, God, I can't memorize.
You're like, I just say what I want.
Yeah, listen,
and
I'm
someone
me.
films it.
Yeah, and people tell me how great I am. Like, literally, I had no idea how to memorize something. That's like an ability to be able to look at a piece of paper and memorize
that's
it.
a skill, yeah.
I had not that one. And I just full-blown panic. But you were always super cool. You were doing a lot of acting back then, too, I think.
Yeah. But I remember bumping into you like 2 or 3 times in rooms, or even it was probably more than that. But I remember them, and I remember you were always the nicest guy, and you were incredibly. No, I'm serious, and this is no smoke, because there's plenty of people that we came up through the ranks with that were good at other stuff. But I always said, and it was you and of course our buddy Bob Oshak, who now writes for Craig Ferguson.
Yep.
And
Neerman signed all 3 of us like within about 15 minutes of each other.
I always told, almost called him by his real name,
No.
Neerman, that you guys were both amazing. You both had different styles, and you're both incredible, and you're both going to be big talents. I mean, I
we were
really
all
believed
like
in
that.
you.
Yeah.
And so every time I saw you, I remember one time you saw me, and you're like, "Oh, come on,
Yeah.
what not?" Am I going to see you every time here? And I remember I would watch you. You were getting better and better and kicking really
Well, because
serious
George
ass.
would walk out of the room, And people would be like crying, laughing. There was hugging, like, George, you're the best. We love you. If we can figure out how to do this, let's close the audition.
And then you're like, you're next.
No, they'd be like, next up, Mike Richards, Mike Reinhardt, Mike Reinhardt. And I'd be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And that's when I ran. And I mean, I was joking when I was like, really? Really? Because literally the room is exploding. And so you're sitting out there going, great. Now, Buzzkill's going to walk in and be like, hey, guys, my name's Mike, and I'm
but
here
how
for
funny
an
is it
audition.
that I always said, like, I would always compare your style to, like, that, that all-American Dick Clark style, and which wasn't me. You know, I'm the...
No, we were all different. And Oshak is, like...
A Letterman.
Totally different. Yeah,
I would say
totally
Oshak
oddball.
was like a young, quirky Letterman, and I was like the 12-year-old, kid that your mom wouldn't let you play with.
Right. That's accurate.
So we did, we really were kind of all very different.
Yeah.
But it was so wild that you actually eventually did Pyramid,
right.
Which really I thought you were always born to play. And now, you know what? I want to ask you.
Too soon.
It's not
still.
about me for a second. What is the? Are you cool talking about the American Idol?
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but yeah, I'm cool with it.
Because
look at Beth, she's
I
so
want to make
excited.
sure I've got the story
I
right.
wish somebody take a picture of the S-eating grin that Beth has.
Is the story right that it was down to you and Ryan?
No. So the story goes, I am. What am I doing? I'm on the other half.
Right.
And I'm the senior producer, and Dan Funk, who is the other executive producer on Deal, is the executive producer of it.
Okay.
It's a great job. He's the greatest. And
Funk Master.
yeah, the
so
Funk
great.
Master. And so I am doing my patented, gonna go grab lunch and going to auditions, which everyone knew what I was doing. I mean, I told them what I was doing, but it was always like, no, I'll be right back.
Been there, done that.
Yep. And for some reason, I'll try to shorten it, but it's relevant in that I went to an open call for the Idol host audition, which I was at a point in my career where I didn't go to open calls. But we got out, production was canceled that day or something went on, and I ended up going to the open call, which was at the Laugh Factory. It was at the Laugh Factory, I think. It was the Comedy Store Laugh Factory. Right. And that's where the stage was and everything. And so they're basically, it was the most brutal thing I've ever seen in my life, where people are coming up and you're supposed to say your name, where you're from, and your favorite band. And they either said you can stay or thank you. Okay? And and there was 400 people lined up. I have no idea where this came from. This wasn't to sing on American Idol. This was to be the host.
Yeah.
And no one knew what American Idol was. It was Pop Idol. No one had a clue what it was.
Were you behind Brian Dunkelman?
I'll get to how Dunkelman.
Oh, really?
I'll get to how Dunkelman ends up on the show.
Bring it.
So I go through. I'm Mike Richards. I'm from La Cañada, and my favorite band's U2. You can stay, and literally that's how it goes for 5 hours. So then they start pairing us up, and they started they whittled from 500 to 20 in one day, and they would and each thing got longer and longer, and Pop Idol had 2 people as the hosts. Ant and Deck, am I doing that right? Or
yes, I believe.
Yeah, and they were famous for being in a band together, and they were in a sitcom together, so it made sense. But for American Idol, it made no sense for it to have 2 people. Never did, but they were just doing the exact same format, which, if you remember, they made you do on Weakest Link, where they could have made some improvements to make it more friendly for the American audience, but they didn't because it had to be the BBC format.
No.
Yeah, and so anyway, so I started to be called Black Death because people would go up. And we would do a little bit, and they'd be like, you can stay, thank you. And I kept staying. So I get to the final 20, and so it's 9 o'clock at night now. And they go,
long lunch.
Yeah. Well, no, because the production something had been canceled, which is why I had time, or I'd have never gone to it. Mm-hmm. And then we start having meetings at what I now know is Fremantle, but I have no idea that it was Fremantle at the time. And I lived for whatever reason, I was off for a week and a half to where I had time to go to these auditions. And they just kept making me stay longer and longer, and they kept bringing in more and more people. And I lived in the waiting room at Fremantle for a good 6-7 days, over a weekend and back. And I just kept going in, and, it was fun. I didn't have to memorize anything, so that was good. Yeah. And everybody's like, dude, you're the guy.
Were you nervous at this time, or were you still weren't nervous?
No, because, listen, it's great power when, what George said about going in and not giving an S
Crap,
about
yeah.
it.
When you know you're not going to get it, then
It's fine.
You don't
You
care.
just don't care.
I was a senior producer of a show. Things were great. And I was like, and this is just another show to me. Because no one had any idea it would turn into what it turned into.
Yeah, it was
And to be honest, I did famously say that, I mean, are American kids is the American public really ready for a British a-hole to make fun of their kids? I don't think so. You're welcome.
Emmy Award winner.
Thank you.
Mike
Emmy
Richards.
Award winner, Mike Richards. Oh, thank you. Are you thanking me
I
now?
am.
Oh,
Well,
that's
I'm
nice of you.
congratulating you.
Good job, buddy. So anyway, Beth forgot to thank me last time.
Thank
Didn't
you.
even-
Wow, thank you.
I mean, no. I mean, say congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, my friend would congratulate
you.
me.
Yes. Well, you know what? I congratulated you off air, and I messed up on the cue on the last show to do that.
Anyway, so I go back, and we're having all these meetings, and they're bringing in tall girls and short, fat guys, and they're trying to literally, they're making it look like it isn't just me, but it's just me, and everyone knows it. Real quick on one of the most amazing auditions, it's with Nigel Lithgow and Ken Warwick are there.
Okay.
So they're the EPs of Idol until this season. They just left. And they're the guys that had done Pop Idol. And one of the things they have us do, and George, just to put yourself in this spot. So there's two guys, and they're going, okay, so now we're going to do, it's all role playing, and how are you going to react? Because that's what Seacrest does on the show. And it was, okay, so this guy just came in, Simon and them ripped them apart, and that's all you know, and he's going to walk out. So he comes out. So Nigel is acting as the kid. He's sobbing, and we're going, oh my, and I go, what happened? Is everything okay? And the guy with me just bails, like he's going to do shtick. It's not Dunkelman. I know that's what you're thinking. It's not Dunkelman. But he starts just doing like, whoa, buddy, pull it together, huh? How bad can it be? And Nigel looks at him and goes, it could be pretty bad. My brother died 4 days ago. And I go, oh my God, what made you come here today? And he goes, I actually missed his funeral for this audition. And this guy literally next to me, I see him grabbing the ripcord. Like he's just, and we're all supposed to pretend like we're on air. Like you knew that they were calculating that could you handle anything that they threw at you and keep going and keep the momentum going because you were going to be live. And so anyway, I did this whole thing with him. And luckily, I'd done bad daytime talk, so I knew right where to go. I mean, I just pretended I was Lisa Gibbons, and I was like, but do you think he would have wanted you to have come here? And I do this whole thing, and I literally see the Fox execs and what I now know is the Fremantle execs, like, oh, my God, he's got it. Oh. Yeah. And I guess everyone else just came in and yacked on themselves in this. They ran that scenario every time.
Oh, man.
There was like a riot in the waiting room because everyone thought that was such a BS thing to do. Lithgow calls us in and he goes, so I'm going to tell you who can go home. You guys did not handle that well. And I'll tell you that I'm hearing that you guys are grumbling that that's not a cool thing to have pulled and what a ridiculous thing. And that happened last year on Pop Idol. And Ant and Dec had to deal with it. And I was like, you guys are so screwed.
Awesome.
So now I auditioned. So now they brought in 100 more people for me to read. Literally 100 more people. I started to lose my voice.
God.
I started to lose my voice, and I'm trying to give everybody everything because I feel like I'm on the block every time that I'm on, even though it's all about everyone else. Mm-hmm. And so then it's just me meeting with them. I have my deal done. It's all good. But I did hear that that they were talking to Seacrest and that he was trying to figure out if he even wanted to come in because he had the radio show and he was really smart and he didn't want to give up the radio show for what could have been a 2-week run.
He gets manicures on Wednesday mornings, and that would have conflicted with the production schedule. And
yeah. I'm not going to rip on him. I'm proud. I'm proud of what he did.
You know what? He's a great guy.
No, and I'm proud of what he did.
But
and
he gets manicures.
Yeah, he does get manicures.
They're upset.
Yeah. So I don't. I should. Maybe I will start. Maybe that would help. Maybe I could make $37 million a year if I got manicures. So I remember hearing that, and it was really late in the game. And during that time, Dunkelman had come in, and Dunkelman and I were hilarious.
Did Dunkelman go through the same process
no,
you did?
Because at one point they just started calling like people specifically in to meet with me.
Got it.
And so Dunkelman is fantastic with me. Like, because I get him, he's quirky. I'm setting him up right and left, where he's able to do he would say something weird, and I could play the straight man, but make it funny, but get us back into the copy. Like it worked. So they put Dunkelman under a contract. We walk out. I think I have the day right. I think it's Thursday night, and Saturday Idol starts taping in Chicago. And Mike Darnell, the then head of Fox Reality, and some Fremantle person who I don't know, go, hey, we know you have another job. you need to let them know you're not coming in on Monday because you're going to be in Chicago. Congratulations. And Dunkelman and I walked out, and we're like, holy God. And and then they said something else to Brian, and we walked out, and I will never forget, like, walking out of Fox with him and going, do you think that's – and he was like, I can't believe this is going to happen. I'm going to go get bombed. This is amazing. And I was like, I know too much. I don't.
You've been a producer. You've seen.
Yeah,
Behind
I've seen
the
this.
curtain
Yeah,
of Oz.
yeah. I know that. I was like, God, but I remember that, and I remember very few things in my life. But I remember that, like, wow, this is gonna be great. Primetime. This would be my second primetime. No, would have been my first primetime show. It was like a big deal, and I made the horrific mistake of telling my parents that I thought it was going to go really well. So Friday comes and I don't hear anything, and I'm like, huh. If I'm traveling tomorrow, shouldn't I? Now, I had made the executive decision to not tell the people that I was working for to screw off, and that I was going to go become a big TV star, which ended up being good. And Neerman, unfortunately represented Seacrest at the same time.
Oh, that's right.
And got stuck and couldn't tell me anything. And I finally go, is it Neerman? I mean, Neerman is at Seacrest, and he goes, how do you know that? I was like, because I heard them talking to him, and I know he had the thing with the radio show. I said, listen to me. This is a really bad decision. Not to pick Seacrest. Do not put him with Dunkelman, because I knew Ryan. I'd met him through Lisa, and I had worked with him on something. I can't remember what it was. And I knew that he wouldn't, that would not be a good vibe. Not a criticism of Seacrest, not a criticism of Dunkelman, but I was
chemistry.
Like, this is going to be, I go, Newman, either they need to go with just Seacrest. Maybe he and I could do it together, although it's awfully similar. But don't do Dunkelman like this is a mess. And I wasn't trying to hurt Dunkelman. I knew it was a mess. And then, sure enough, like Friday night at like 8:30 at night, I had figured I didn't need to pack for Chicago. And that's when I found out. And the worst part of it was I called my mom, and she cried. And I was like, oh, God, now I feel terrible.
It's the worst.
And the last time I saw your mom was about 2 weeks ago, and she was crying a little bit because her son just won an Emmy.
Yeah. No, that was great. No, she's fine now. And my family does not like Ryan Seacrest as a group. I'm the only one like, guys, it happens. It could have just as easily have been, what was that? Chains of Love that he got, and I didn't. I mean, you know what I mean? We were all up for so many shows.
Could have been another forgotten
show that was just gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's parlayed it brilliantly. But so that's the real Seacrest story, and that's how Dunkelman ended up on the show. And I remember watching the first episode. I was in Havasu, white trashing it up, and I watched the first Idol, and I was like, oh boy, this is beyond. Are they supposed to be lovers? Is he supposed to be funny? And it was not a good.
Did it leave a bitter taste in your mouth when you watched the episode? Were you hoping for failure, or were you just curious to see what happened?
I was more just curious. I was bitter because I didn't get it. I mean, no one likes to lose. I don't like to lose anything. And then what was tough was like the third week happened, and it was like it's the biggest thing in the history of television. So that was a little rough. But then I think he's played it brilliantly. Like he played it how I would have played it, like which is to overwork, say yes to everything, and work his tail off. And he's a good guy and he's nice to people, and you don't hear that he's a jackass.
No.
Even though at this point he
could be.
Could buy or sell any one of us. You know.
When he was already doing well on
Star 98.7.
Well, no, it was when he was already on Idol. I was filling in for it was KFI.
Oh, yeah.
More interesting talk radio. And they said, "Oh, you get 2 hours to do whatever you want on this Saturday." And they're like, whatever you want. Like, whatever I want? Oh, yeah, do you need a bunch of this? I'm like, no, I don't need anything. Just give me a microphone for 2 hours. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now we're in my wheelhouse. And it was so nice because Neerman said, hey, I told Ryan Seacrest about this, and I'd never met Ryan. I still haven't met him. And I said that I told him that, that you're going to be doing this. You're a dear client of mine. I didn't know if you'd need something to do. Here's his cell phone number. You can call him on the air. He'll be expecting your call if you do choose to call him, and you can talk to him if you want, because obviously that's great to talk. I wound up not needing it, not pulling a trigger, but that's my one experience with him. That what a nice guy. Doesn't even.
So did he? So when Neerman called you to go, listen, I boned Mike Richards out of the Idol job, but here's the guy who I got it for you can call him during your radio show.
This occurred to me. You know what? 10 years later,
I did not
have
know
his
that.
cell phone number.
Let's
If you
call
wanna
him.
right
No,
now.
listen. Again, my family not huge Seacrest fans. Me, I think it's great what he's done, and I think he's actually made the world a safer place for what I like to call the skinny white hosts like George and I, which is you'll take a chance on someone that you don't know, and what's interesting is you have to remind people that no one knew who he was. It was that he was a good nuts and bolts host,
Absolutely.
and go back and watch what I look at when I see someone like him or anyone on camera. Go back and watch the first season, and go back and watch season 3 or 4, and he is light years better. He's not great in the first year. He's not bad. He's not distracting, and he didn't have a real role, and the Dunkelman thing was weird. But he's not settled in, even though he's a talented broadcaster. But he went to school on himself and made himself better and put himself in a great situation to where he really is that good at. There isn't anyone better at that now. That live, like massive, tons of moving parts. He's as good as he's the Dick Clark in that way of being super competent in every situation. You can't hurt him.
Right.
Like, and they try on Idol. Like the timings. I've watched you can tell that the timings are screwed up, and he's like, it's like in his ear. They're like, and you have 3 seconds. More Idol right after this, and it's never rushed. Like he's
like cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, because he's done a bajillion now.
Yeah.
and he's gotten good at. So yeah, that's my Idol story. How did we? I didn't like that we got off of George Gray.
Well,
for
you know
so long.
what? Because I mean, I've always thought you're an amazing on-camera talent,
thanks.
which is right now you're working a lot off-camera. That's what you're kind of known for.
Yeah.
But I believe that Bob Oshak had it back in the day. I still think he's got it, and I still think you've got it, and I still think that you could host a national show tomorrow and be better.
I'm available, George.
Be better than 99%. Well, you know
Thanks.
what? We have actually talked. True story. You and I have talked about doing something fun because we do have different enough personalities to where we could riff and have.
I believe
a lot of fun.
I believe the concept loosely was me getting you arrested.
That one,
and then talking your way out of it.
But there was another one that was basically showing compressed episodes of game shows.
Yeah, I love that one too.
And then riffing on it.
Yep.
And we never really went down the path of it.
There was something I went down some path
baby?
with it. I
What
don't
happened,
know.
baby?
I don't know.
Jen
Bisgrove.
We had
Sell that.
We had somebody
20
attached to
territories.
it that was supposed to do some work on it, but didn't. But that's
Who?
all right. I'm not saying the name.
Wait, do it to the side. Oh, yeah, that's
Silver
right.
and gold,
Yeah, I forgot about
silver
it.
and
Sorry,
gold.
we're whispering.
Little Burl Ives song.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, well, because but that thing.
I
so,
forgot about
so
that.
it will either happen tomorrow or will happen 10 years from now. But you and I are going to do something together.
Yeah, it'll be
because it's
super
way
fun.
too fun. So how funny is it? And I've told my friends that because my big mantra is in this town it is tiny. Be nice to everybody, not fake nice, but
actual nice.
Be genuinely nice.
Yeah.
Because first of all, that's how you deserve to be treated, and you never know how the world is going to work out. I had one of the NBC pages who used to come to Weakest Link bring me in for a big network show.
Come
Who was
on.
an EP. And then I had that little kid in a waiting room who I could have told to go to hell, and he didn't know where the sign-in sheet
Or
was.
made me sign in
And
at the wrong commercial.
that I wouldn't have seen the light of day of the CBS lot,
Yeah.
much less to get a shot at Price is Right. You didn't give me Price is Right, but you gave me a shot.
Yeah,
And
no,
remember
that
you
was a
said,
great-
Look, I'd love to see you get this, and go get him, champ. So, but I would have never had that shot if I was a complete, bagathon to you. So,
And you were not.
Really
so
cool,
what
though.
have we learned? If you're listening, is
Don't be a jackass.
nice person.
These
That's-
podcasts have been so uplifting recently.
Well, because some of because Bess told some amazing true life trying to make it as an actor in Hollywood
People are
stories.
jerks out
that
there.
people are amazing a-holes.
Monsters.
And they're usually, my wife has this theory of A-list stars, the A plus like mega stars are the most normal and humble.
Completely.
The B's and the B minuses are the C pluses, which are just famous, have made just a little bit of money, but not enough to live on, are tyrants because they're so insecure. And I'd be interested to get your take on this. What I think is incredibly tough about being on camera is not the actual act of being on camera. The hardest thing for me has always been we're done and going home and not knowing what anybody thought. Like that to me is more crippling.
Really?
Because I go out and I'm like, when I did Pyramid, I knew I was doing as good as I could do on it. I was killing it for me. And that I didn't really worry about what anybody thought.
Right.
But early on, I can remember when I did High School Reunion, I was like, they're going to send me home on an airplane. Like, this is I'm terrible. They're going to say, am I bad? Am I good?
Really?
What? And it's not that I didn't believe in me, but I didn't know what they were looking for. It's that, and I think it's why I'm a producer as well, that I'm so worried about everything that's happening behind the camera, the machine, that I was wondering what the machine was getting.
You're like a big
from
picture
what,
person.
Yeah, from what I was
Yeah.
doing. And I think what a lot of people are good at is, and I've learned this from Drew and Wayne and, the guys, and you to a lesser extent, although you actually care how things go behind. You like to make it easy on production. But I don't think you have that crippling, I wonder how it went today thing.
Right.
And I, like, in the beginning especially, and in different, I mean, even when I was doing Beauty and the Geek and I was in the 5th season, I would be like, God, was that terrible? I wouldn't ask anyone because I'm not that stupid. But I would just wonder.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to control the whole mechanism than it is to just be the one little tiny naked part out in front of it.
That was a long road to say that you're a control freak.
yeah. But maybe that's what it is. I guess. Why is Jim Bisgrove laughing?
Now you can't see it because you're listening, but he just controlled how long that laugh lasted.
Yeah.
He did.
And stop.
And see.
Yeah. So that's never bugged you?
No, you know what's funny is growing up in a casting family. That's where I got the, hey, I'm not right for this job, so I shouldn't go. Or if they say no, I know I'm not right. Don't take it personally. But
what about once you got the job?
Well, actually, I did a lot of stand-in work in films early in my career, which you are fired instantly if you don't hit your mark, hit your light. You have to know how to run 10 paces, hit a mark, have the light slash across your face, turn, camera right so you feel a blush, and then move 3 seconds left. And I got so good at like mark timing and blocking that like I do it as rote now. And so, and like you say, it helps production, but it helps the show and it helps me because if they shoot better, then I feel better. And then, it's the world goes around. So I pay attention to a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
I'm constantly thinking in the back of my head, okay, where's that camera? What do they need? What time is the show? Like, like you say, the mechanical part of it.
Well, and you're really good about, on Price, he likes to have all kinds of input in his ears. And a lot of people, when they're reading, whether it's reacting to Drew, which you always have to be ready.
Sure.
Like literally, you always have to be ready because you never know. And then, and it's the enormous amount of copy that you cover is insane. Most people would only want read it, or cue the read and Drew. And George has like everything. I think he's got like an FM thing channel. I think he's listening to KFI.
And I'm patting my head and rubbing my stomach.
Yeah, you like all of that input.
But it was, but it was perfect for today because in the first show today that we just taped, I was listening to everything that I listened to, and I was supposed to read the next name for somebody to come on down, and there was some kind of little mini snafu.
Kerfuffle.
Yeah, and so I heard our director Adam, screaming, "For the love of God, don't say the word!" And so, but if I didn't have that, and then we also had another little issue where this is great. Can you believe this? I called somebody down. They stood up, they cheered, and then they sat back down in their chair.
What?
Were you there for that?
Yeah.
You were there for that? Yes. She didn't understand the process. And so, like, I in between reading, was grabbing, I have a little Smokey and the Bandit walkie-talkie thing, and was saying to the booth, do you want me to announce them again, or do you want me to announce the next name? So working on the fly, and if you don't have all that input, then you lose your ability to see everything, So I'd rather have, it's a little more noisy, but I'd much rather have that.
Yeah.
Well, you have
that's
such
a
an
control
interesting
thing,
role on the show, too, because I feel like you have a major control hand of, like, everything, like, even more so than Drew sometimes.
Yeah, no,
like,
we
with the
run
formatting of the show,
run the format through George.
Yeah.
Well, if you notice, I do a lot of the I control a lot of the audience applause and
you direct a lot.
and the ins and outs, and or if the stage manager's having a hard time getting Drew's attention, I'll ease it in so we can get the bumps in and out and everything, and finish sentences and do all that kind of stuff. Because again, I was a warm up,
Right.
So I think you and I, we've taken all the
different
skills
jobs,
that we had, and you jam them together, and you make a show. So
it's kind of cool. I feel like you bridge both like worlds a little bit.
Well, and you did stand up and you did warm up, and isn't that how you got Extreme Gong? Isn't that how that worked?
I got into the The way that I got into it, well, let's see, I could probably do this as a compressed story because you're looking at your watch.
Only because we've got to go shoot The Price is Right.
Okay, here's the quick version. So I was a stand-up and a sketch guy and a little bit of improv, and I was doing, like you say, a lot of scripted work. I was doing a lot of film work, and I got
Can't Buy Me Love.
Hello, that makes you a prostitute. And then
Is that the subtitle?
Look it up. It's Bobby, my character, which is terrible. He had a line. And he said, "I was just doing it for money. That makes you a prostitute." So I had my friends would like say that to me all the time. Yeah, look it up. It's horrible. Awesome, Sean Cassidy hair. It happens.
Whoa, Beth,
happens
can you
to
not?
Everybody now and again, nothing to be ashamed of.
I'm a little ashamed.
So, anywho, so I got a sitcom deal with it was Polygram ITC, it was
sure,
which was American and Canadian co-production, and it's been a long time. But I was going to do this sitcom called YTV up in Edmonton, Alberta, on SCTV's original stage, and SCTV was a Canadian sketch comedy group, very famous. Eugene Levy, Dave Thomas, Rick Moranis.
You know any of those people,
I
Beth?
know who all those people are.
John Candy.
I know who that is.
You know who that is?
So a lot of famous folks came
From
out
what,
here.
though?
From
Exactly.
So I got to be on stage with Dave
Young.
Thomas. He was going to play a space alien, the voice of the space alien on this, and I was the star of the sitcom. And we shot the pilot up there. So I got to do a table reading with him. I get billing above the guy. This is like the most amazing that's ever happened in my life. And he said, "Oh, I haven't been on this stage in years. I remember. Hey, remember the pirate sketch? And when we were on the ship?" I'm like, "Yeah, John Candy and I did it. It was over in that corner over there, and it was 3 a.m. And we drank some beers." And he like starts telling all these stories about me growing up and watching all these sketch comedy shows that influenced me getting into the business. So it was amazing. So we shoot this. It's great. Since it's a Canadian co-production, so the U.S. and Canada are doing this together, and they have a 3-year guaranteed run. So it's paid for, essentially, because it's Canadian content.
Wow.
So it's one of those things where they're going to put it on the air. There was a show that I did some guest stars on called Harry and the Hendersons that was from the movies, and that was
I know that show.
It was a sitcom that was another one like that where it was a guaranteed run. That one was actually syndicated, but they buy the time, it's going to air. And so you're not going to get canceled. Ratings, be damned.
Be damned, yeah.
You've got the time slot. And so this was it. I'm doing a 3-year sitcom run. My career is just going to go through the roof. This is awesome. I'm out in L.A. This is great. And right before we're going to get on the plane to go shoot the series, I've got all the production, everything. They sell the company to Vivendi. It was Vivendi, I think, bought it. Vivendi Universal, I believe, bought the company. And I'll never forget, I got the phone call, and they said, the show's off. And I said, but it
can't.
They did $1 million pilot.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed run. Ratings don't matter. Canada's paying for most of it because they're happy to have the work. Why? And they said, it's not their baby. It's like hiring a new coach for a football team. You can be the best defensive coordinator, but you're not their guy. They don't want you. So they don't want you on their docket, and they're just going to...
And you know why. The reason is, if it's a huge success, they don't get any of the credit for it.
They don't get any of the money for it.
If it fails, or it becomes a disaster, or if there's something bad, it's their fault because it was under their watch.
But it gets
no upside.
It gets better. It gets
it
gets better. Wait, you got to listen to this one. So what happens is they say, so it's off, and I was devastated. And they said, but kind of in the tradition of true Hollywood, they're going to keep your contract. And so what they did, and you know this happens, is what they did is I was a young kid with no real agent, with no real power.
Still no real agent. Am I right,
Nerman?
Hey-oh!
And so, buzzing. So I had a contract that all they had to do was pay me $7,000 a year to keep me under contract for 3 years.
And they could own you.
And so what they did is they chose. I got $7,000 for the next 3 years.
And you couldn't work in television.
I couldn't do anything. No scripted work.
What did we learn today, Jen?
I was allowed to do.
People are bad.
I was allowed to do I was allowed to do one guest. I couldn't even do what's called an arc. So I couldn't do a 3-episode guest arc. I couldn't. So pilot season, and all the folks, all the casting directors in town were getting to know me, getting to know my name, starting to like me. I was getting down to producers to network, on a lot of shows, and all that's gone. So I can't go out.
That is nauseating.
I was over visiting my friend George Monis, a line producer who I still love very dearly. Hi, George. And
he's listening.
And
Big podcast.
He was working on a show for Howard Schultz called Jones and Jury, a little gem you may have heard of that Star Jones had. It was her very first show.
Now I don't remember.
I don't know that one.
And
I'm pretending like I don't know who Star Jones is.
She was already being a diva. Let's just say that. And so it was her first little show, and I was there visiting the set, and a guy named Mark Wahlberg was the audience warm up.
Not Marky Mark,
not the underpants guy.
I know, I get confused.
But Mark Wahlberg,
Antiques Roadshow, and a very loved television.
Yeah,
host.
He's great.
So
Temptation Island was his finest work, if you ask me.
His finest hour. Oh, I love Antiques Roadshow. So he was warm up, and I heard them over say, you know what, Mark's leaving tomorrow, because everybody was getting their own talk show then. Everybody.
Is that when he got his talk show?
Mark got his own talk show, and so
it's random. I mean, Wahlberg is incredibly talented, but it is beyond random that he got his own talk show.
Come on, everybody was getting their own talk show.
But that was random.
This was probably 1993, 4, somewhere around there, 5, I guess. I don't know. And so they were talking about how they needed to replace him for 2 days of the taping,
because that was what the expected run of his talk show was.
Be there for like 1 hour, the second show or whatever it was, and they're like, "Oh, who are we gonna get? And they're talking in the office, and I said, "I'll do it." And they said, "Oh no, it's warm up is weird. It's." And I said, "Well, I can do it. It's not stand up. It's not sketch. It's a unique beast. And no." And I just leaned on him. I'm like, "Come on." And they said, "All right, we'll give you a shot." I went in, and the next day, Mark Wahlberg was so nice to me. And instead of saying, "Hey, kid, here's the mic, go to hell," he said, "Hey, here's a couple little tips. Here's what you want to do. Watch the stage manager. Here's a really good place to stand. If you got any questions, here's who to talk to. You're going to be great." So what a nice guy.
Yeah, he's really
nice. And
I'll
never forget that.
Yep.
Ever, ever, ever. Never forget that. And so I did the show, and afterwards they all said, "You know what? Honestly, not bad. Not bad at all. So we need somebody for tomorrow. Why don't you come back?" And I said, out of curiosity, what am I getting paid for this? And I'll never forget the guy named Gareth Provan, who's still a producer guy. He laughs. He typed something on a calculator. He said, "All right, let's see. You were here for 2.5 hours, whatever you did this show." He turns the calculator around, and it said 70. I think it say 77.8 or 77.8 or something like that. I said, "You're going to pay me $7.80 for this?" I mean, I really didn't know. I had no idea.
Which is great.
And well, it was more money than I was making.
Well, I was going to say, your yearly income just went to $7,007.88.
Yeah. So $7, and he's like, "No," and I said, "So you're going to pay me $77.80," which didn't sound too outrageous for 2 hours of work.
Yeah.
And he just laughed at me. He's like, "No." And I said, "Yeah, right. So you're going to pay me like almost $800 for what I just did?" And he said, "Welcome to AFTRA."
Wow.
Yep.
Da 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 da. And
unions.
That
so
started
cool.
my warm-up career.
Yep.
Instantly, within a year, Mark went off and started doing shows and got bigger. He wasn't doing warm-up. I took his space in reality, game, and talk. And so now I kind of became that guy. I bought my first home. I made 6 figures in my first year.
Yeah. No, warm-up guys they can make $500,000 a year easy.
Yep. I think the most I ever made was almost $200,000.
Yeah.
And that is how I got into hosting. Because while I was cooling my heels waiting to get my scripted back, and I'd go into all these auditions to host, because you're there, you're the warm-up, and all the suits are there, and they're like, "Hey, the kid out there, he's pretty funny. Why don't we got that little show, or we got to do writers. Right. Give him a try." And every time I would go in, the casting directors and the producers would say, "You're great, but we're looking at your resume, and you only do scripted material. So you know what? You're a scripted guy. You're not a host guy." And I said, "But you're watching me. I'm right here.
I'm in person.
I can do it." So I wouldn't book. Well, cut to about 3 years later.
No, but you probably got to you got into the producers every time.
Oh yeah, every time I was getting close. But cut to about 3 years later, my contract for scripted is now expired. Now I'm starting to do hosting stuff, and now I'm actually booking these small things. I get Extreme Gong.
Yeah.
I get movies for guys who like movies. I get Fox FXM Friday nights. I start doing all these kind of little things, and I start going back in for scripted. And I go to producers, and I go to network, and everybody says, "You know what? You're really great, but I see here you're a host. You're not a scripted guy." So that, ladies and gentlemen, is Hollywood.
Yes. Well, no, it's a thing. We've talked about it a lot, which is people, human nature is they want to put you in segments.
Yep.
And it's like, so George Gray does this, or George Gray does that. Oh, he's funny. Or then he can't do anything serious. Or he's serious and he can't do anything funny. And I've fought it because I actually had an executive call and schedule a meeting with me. Was it, Beth, were you here when someone called and said they just started at a cable network. It was like a senior VP level, and they're like, called Newman. They're like, we want to see Mike Richards. We've got some hosting stuff, blah, 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 blah. Literally call Newman back and go, we want to talk to Mike Richards, the producer, about blah, 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 blah. And they set 2 separate meetings because they could not get it in their head that I was the same person.
You're kidding.
No. And that's not the only time. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we were like, no, it's I'm the same because it's not really that. Forget it. And people
odd.
can't get that through their heads.
Sing and dance.
That'll never work. We have to let the great George Gray go.
This was awesome, guys.
This was an
Thanks,
hour and 5
George,
minutes
for coming.
podcast.
Thank you for letting me be part of this. This was super fun.
Thanks for
George
coming.
Gray is going to go save The Price is Right yet again.
Oh, shucks.
We'll have to have you back for your 3-year anniversary.
That would be awesome. I would love to.
I remember when George Gray got hired.
I
was
do
here.
too.
That's
And I say it all the
cool.
time. Thanks for letting me be part of the family.
Yeah,
I mean
well, thanks
it,
for
man.
making me look
it's
good.
Awesome. I love being here. It's just the greatest.
I think you're
coolest
the
thing ever.
only person on camera that I've hired. I think that's true.
I think you're.
I think that's right.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just saying.
Just saying
I'm
that-
1 for 1. The kid's got it. Yeah, no, because when you bring someone in and you lean on people and you go, no, trust me, this guy's the guy. Don't just come watch the show. I had everyone here for George's first show. They're like, don't you want to let him do a couple? I'm like, nope. Come
That
to
was
the
a crazy
first one.
experience,
And
too.
they were like, Mike, you're really putting him in a bad spot. I was like, no, I'm not. He'll be fine. And like literally from the beginning, I literally get this, holy, what the, like looking at it, I was like, yeah, that's what I've been doing. Because pros are pros, and you've always been a pro, and so I know you can go into any situation, and you will grind until you figure it out, because you will not look bad. You will not allow
Not
you
gonna happen. I'm
to
a
look bad.
self-control freak.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
will not fail. I will never fail. It's not going to happen.
And I knew it would be like a lightning bolt on the executives, because if you did well your first show, which we had other people kind of guest star and come in, and there was a lightning bolt, but it wasn't positive
Right.
with the way it went. And I was like, no, I'm willing to, I knew that it would be,
It was a tough job,
and it was
so.
over after the first act. Like everybody was done. I mean, we still had to go through all the machinations and make the DVDs so everybody could watch it in the comfort of their own home. But everybody was here. All the decision makers were here. And literally, I looked back and I was like, and it's over.
I know we're finishing this and we got to go, but maybe after this we could talk about, you keep saying that sooner or later we're going to I'll be paid for some of what we've been doing.
Oh,
so is that,
no. That's just like,
Mike doesn't
hey,
pay
look at how fun your
people.
job is.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Maybe after the 3rd year we'll talk about it.
Have Neerman call me. and if Seacrest isn't interested, I'll see if I can't get you, some money. George Gray, everyone.
Thank
That's
you,
the random show.
guys.
Beth Triffin is not tall. See you next time. Bye.
People like that.